Hello friends. Uh, Today in NetSet preparation we shall try to discuss about IA recharge, and especially our focus would be on four kinds of meaning. Friends, IA recharge is one of the new critics uh, who is very important from the point of view of examination, because from four kinds of meaning as well as from his practical criticism we can again and again find the questions being asked in different types of examination. So without wasting time, let's try to understand about him. According to him, the meaning of a poem is the result of its total effect on a sensitive mind. So I, Richard, believe that the meaning of any poem is the result of the total effect on a sensitive mind. Means how a person understand that poem. And let us start with the quick facts about I. Richards. Then we shall go ahead. Uh, his full name was Ivor Armstrong Richards. He was born on 27 September 1893 uh, in Cheshire, England, and he died on 7th September 1979. He was having British nationality, and he studied at the University of Cambridge. Uh, uh, his teacher H. H. Bradley influenced him a lot. By profession, he was a literary critic, a linguist, educator. He's very well known for his practical criticism and four kinds of meanings. His uh, practical criticism and new criticism, these two movements were actually started by him. Uh, Let us try to understand his early life and education. He was born in a cultured family in England and studied at Cambridge University. He excelled in mathematics, philosophy, and English and became professor of English language and literature at the University of Cambridge in 1929 to 1961. And his teaching transformed the study of literature. Uh, Let us try to understand the intellectual and historical context. Early 20th century, uh, we can find the shift from historical criticism to the text-centered criticism. So now other details are not important, but the text, written text is important. Even the name of the writer or poet, author is also not important. Whatever is written, that is very important. That is the close reading of the text was emphasized in that shift from historical criticism to the text-centered criticism. Then we can find the rise of modern linguists, psychology, and communication theory. Many theories related to language, psychology, and communication also came into existence and in that era. Uh, Richards combined language, psychology, and literary study. So, in his criticism, we can find all these three aspects combined. He also emphasized close reading and the reader's response. So, we have readerly text also, and his work laid the foundation of practical criticism and influenced the new criticism. Francis' core philosophy was language is a tool of communication. He believed that meaning is complex and multi-layered. So we can find a meaning at different layers. Literature must be studied scientifically. Reader's response is central to understanding. Up till now, what happened? What poet wanted to say in the poem? Now the shift comes to the readers. So text becomes important and the reader's response becomes more important in the new criticism. A literary work has four dimensions of meaning working together. So he talked about four kinds of meaning, which we shall try to understand uh, uh, as we go further. Uh, his key contribution was he formulated theory of four kinds of meaning. He developed practical criticism method. He did the practical criticism in his own classroom, and from his experiences, he wrote the book named Practical Criticism. So he developed that method. Then he focused on close reading of text. He integrated psychology with literature. He influenced new criticism and modern literary theory. He revolutionized teaching of literature. Now look, not only study of literature, but how literature can be taught. That also we can find from his experiences, from his works. If we see major works by him, so the first work is The Meaning of Meaning. He co-authored this work with C.K. Ogden, and this work is a landmark work in the semantics and theory of meaning. It was published in 1923. His second work is Principles of Literary Criticism, published in 1924. This work explores the nature of literature, value, and the response of readers. Then the third work is Science and Poetry. In this work, he studies the relation between science, poetry, and imagination. This work was published in 1926. Then comes the Practical Criticism, very canonical book. This book introduces the method of close reading through experiments with students. This work was published in 1929. Uh, Especially remember the date of this work, because many times this work has been asked in the examination. Also, we are to remember the chronology of his work. And the last is the Coleridge on Imagination, published in 1934. This work is a critical study of Coleridge's philosophy of imagination. So we are to remember the meaning of meaning, principles of literary criticism, science and poetry, practical criticism, and Coleridge on his on imagination. Then comes the idea of the four kinds of meaning. Uh, Many times a question is asked from this. So we have to remember which are the four kinds of meaning. First, one is sense, second is feeling, third is tone, and the fourth is intention. So we can remember this in a formula like SFTI. SFTI. S for sense, F for feeling, T for tone, and I for intention. Now let us understand what he wants to tell through these four types of meaning. One is sense. Sense means reference. So the literal or denotative meaning of words, it is called sense. It means that it is what it is said. Means whatever is being said, it also means the same thing. For example, the sun rises in the east. The sense of this sentence is it is a factual sentence that sun rises in the east. It means that whatever is written, it means also the same thing. That is called sense. and that is the first kind of meaning. Then the second kind of meaning is feeling. It is connected with our emotion. So the emotions and attitudes evoked by the word. When we read some sentences, some words, and if a kind of emotion is generated inside us, then it is called a feeling. Second kind of meaning. So this kind of meaning answers what feelings are expressed. For example, the lonely night. Here, through these words, the emotions are generated of sadness and loneliness. So here, when the meaning is connected with emotion, that meaning is called feeling. The third is tone, and tone is connected with attitude, the writer's attitude towards the audience or the subject. So, what is the intention of writer while writing the poem or any other aspect? So, that attitude is connected with the uh, uh, written thing. Then the the kind of meaning comes out is called tone. So this tone tries to answer the question that how it is being said, the manner of telling. For example, come in, my friend. Now, through this sentence, we can find the tone is warm tone of welcoming someone. So this here attitude is connected with the meaning, and that is called tone. And the last fourth kind of meaning is intention. In intention, there is purpose behind it. So the purpose or intention of the speaker or writer is shown through the uh, kind of meaning that is called intention. So intention tries to answer the question that why it is being said, why it is being said, what is the purpose behind it. For example, to persuade, to inform, to entertain. So here, through this line, we can understand that the meaning is to convince someone, to to, to tell the purpose. So we get the complete meaning of any text only through these four kinds of meaning. Means sense plus feeling plus tone and plus intention. All four work together to create full communication. We can communicate our ideas if we keep all these four kinds of meaning in our mind. Practical criticism. Practical criticism was developed as a classroom method of teaching literature. In that, students read anonymous poem. So, name of the authors were deleted, and those piece of art or those poems were given to the students, and they were to analyze them without taking consideration the historical aspect or uh, who is the writer of that work. They are to focus on the page, written words on the page. Uh, uh, Students were asked to write what the poem meant to them, and then showed that readers bring their own emotions, own experiences, and own attitudes. We also feel the same thing. When we read something unknown thing, we try to connect them as a reader with our own experiences and our own emotions and attitude. So a different kind of meaning we can find from that. And so through this, students were encouraged to do the objective criticism. There is no subjective idea, but objective and careful, close reading of the text. Uh, so it was a practical criticism, Uh, if we see the key ideas of I. Richard, he said that meaning is not fixed; it is a dynamic process. Means whatever the author said, that is not the final meaning, but there are possibilities of multiple meanings and multi-layered meanings. And literature communicates through multiple layers. Words evoke complex responses. A reader must balance intellect and emotion. So, as a reader, we have to balance both things, our intellect and emotion, so we can find the proper meaning. A good criticism is based on careful observation and sensitivity. So, these were the ideas of I. Richard for practical criticism. Uh, let us see the examples of four kinds of meaning through literature. We have line like, "Oh, wild west wind, the breath of autumn bring." This line is from Shelley. So, if we see the meaning of this line at the sense level, it means that the wind is compared to the breath of autumn. But if the same line is compared at the feeling level, then we can find the meaning at the feeling level that awe, power, and a sense of change. At the tone level, the same line means that reverent, admiring, intense. And at the intention level, the same line means to express wonder and invoke creative inspiration. So, meaning arises from the interaction of all four kinds. Uh, I. Richards was also criticized for overemphasis on psychological response, for his uh, negligence of a social and historical context. Some found his approach too subjective, and a later critic argued for broader cultural perspectives. But if we see why it matters today, its importance is there. It helps in deeper understanding of literature. It is also useful in communication, linguistics, and media studies. So, interdisciplinary studies. It enhances critical reading and interpretation skills, and it is applicable in not only literature but in education, in psychology, and in cultural studies too. So, let us have the quick chronological timeline of I. Richard's life and his work. He was born on 1893, 20th September, in Cheshire, England. From 1912 to 16, he studied at Cambridge University. 1923, he published The Meaning of Meaning, co-authored with Ogden. 1924, he publishes The Principle of Literary Criticism. 1926, he publishes Science and Poetry. Uh, the canonical work, uh, Practical Criticism, was published in 1929. 1929 to 61, he was a professor at Cambridge University. 1934, he published his Coleridge on Imagination, and on 7th September 1979, he dies in Cambridge, England. So, friends, I. Richards uh, transformed the literary studies by bringing scientific rigor to the interpretation of literature by emphasizing on the active role of reader. So he focused on reader's attitude, reader's experiences, his expression after reading the uh, uh, work of art. His famous quote is, "The ultimate aim of the critic is not to make up his own mind, but to understand another." So we are to remember if such quote is asked in the exam, that at that time it should blink our mind that yes, this quote is from I. Richards. So in a nutshell, we can conclude that I. Richards was a pioneer of practical criticism. He gave the idea of four kinds of meaning. Which are the four kinds? Science, feeling, tone, intention. SFPI. He focused on language and reader response and close reading, and he laid the foundation for the modern literary theory. So, at last, a literary work is a complete communication in which ideas, emotions, attitude, and purposes, all these four kinds of meaning, work together to create a meaning. So, friends, I hope now you have understood uh, the idea of four kinds of meaning by I. Richards and chronology of his works. I hope if any question comes from I. Richards, you will be able to answer them. Thank you very much. We shall meet with another critic or writer, and we shall try to understand them for making our practice or preparation much better so we can have a success in upcoming exam. Stay tuned. Till then, goodbye. Thank you very much. Bye.